Everything we do, every thought we've ever had, is produced by the human brain. But exactly how it operates remains one of the biggest unsolved mysteries, and it seems the more we probe its secrets, the more surprises we find. My name is Cole Stoner, and today I'm going to talk about brain and cognitive learning in the classroom, with a specific focus on brain-based learning. First of all, we have to know what it is. What is brain-based learning? Dr. Eric Jensen defines it as the engagement of strategies based on principles derived from understanding of the brain. Dr. Jensen is renowned for his studies in brain-based learning specifically. It is using research-based methods based on how the brain is designed to work. It gets away from the teacher knows best and asking a teacher their opinion. It's strictly based on the science of how the brain is developed. Okay? Doctors Kane and Kane define it as, although all learning is brain-based in some sense, to us, brain-based learning involves acknowledging the brain's rules for meaningful learning and organizing teaching with those rules in mind. That is when we are teaching to the human brain. And that's a very important statement. It's teaching to the brain and how it develops. Where did it come from? Where did it begin? Dr. Eric Jensen says that in the beginning of the 1970s, some literature started replacing the word mind with brain. And it forced people to start looking at the brain as a thinking mechanism. Two of the books were Using Both Sides of Your Brain and Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards. During the 1980s, as more knowledge of the brain appeared, the conversation grew on how it could effectively work within education. Why should teachers adopt brain-based learning? Doctors Kane and Kane describe the healthy brain as having these components: the ability to detect patterns, to make approximations, phenomenal capacity for various types of memory, the ability to self-correct and learn from experience by way of analysis of external data and self-reflection, and an inexhaustible capacity to create. It's important to note that this is a healthy human brain. This is not a student with a disability or a student that is developmentally delayed, but a healthy human brain comes with all of these things intact. So playing off those theoretically could help our education. Some important things for school to know. The brain is social, and teachers must work this thought into curriculum and daily activities. Students and people in general learn through social interactions, through mimicking, through observation. And it's important, if you're going to use brain-based learning, to work these into the curriculum. Another aspect that goes directly with brain-based learning is exercise. Exercise improves classroom behavior and academic performance. And as you see here, 68% of high school students do not participate in a daily physical education program. Moving around keeps the brain and body sound. It would be important, if implementing brain-based learning, to make sure that all schools or all your students are physically active. Some do's and don'ts for brain-based learning. As teachers, you must be aware of developmental differences between students. The image to the right displays Piaget's developmental levels. Understand that not every student is going to follow those directly. Understand that a healthy brain likes to learn, and it learns best when exposed to multiple learning modalities, whether it's auditory, visual, tactile, or kinesthetic. Incorporating movement and different types of learning within the curriculum will help make brain-based learning more successful. And monitoring all students and their development. We have to learn what works best for the students. Don'ts for brain-based learning. Never adopt a one-size-fits-all approach. The image to the right displays this very well. It says, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. That's given to a penguin, a monkey, an elephant, a fish, a seal, and a dog. It's impossible to properly assess students if we give them all the same test. They don't all learn the same way. Don't assume that delays will improve over time. Sometimes delays are there because they are serious and they're not going to get better unless we take a different approach at it. Don't place children based on age groups. That would be an issue in implementing brain-based learning in our current educational society because we are placed based on our age. Don't assume a disability because a child's learning is delayed. These are all some things that if you're going to implement brain-based learning, you cannot do in your classroom. Some advantages to brain-based learning. There are some numbers that back it up. A 2010 study found that brain-based learning increased the students' academic achievement when compared to traditional teaching methods. These findings were found in congruence with a variety of prior literature and showed that brain-based learning does work. The techniques do work. Some other advantages. Students are treated as active learners. Anytime that you can be active in your learning, it's going to be more beneficial for you as the student. It uses demonstration and assessment to analyze progress rather than simple standardized testing. It is less lecture-based and more creation for the students, which kind of goes into the active learner aspect. It incorporates cooperative learning and problem-based learning to continue focusing on the student as an active learner. The cooperative learning also goes with the brain being social and needing other students and other people to learn from and learn with. It also incorporates practical simulations to replicate real-life situations. Some disadvantages in the classroom. It does have a lack of backing from experts. As I looked through the research, there was not a lot of hard statistics on it being any better than any other method. It also often divides students into left brain and right brain learners. And to go with little evidence showing it's better than any other method, it's a newborn in terms of its age. It hasn't been around long enough to see substantial worth. There's not a lot of experts that will stand behind it completely. Other disadvantages in the classroom, there's minimal professional development for teachers, parents, administrators, and students. It's new, and there's not a lot to coach or teach the teachers. There's ideas and there's thought processes, but there's not hard evidence and hard actual activities to go with it. Ideally, it requires a decrease in class size, which requires more teachers, which is a cost to districts. It's more difficult to accommodate in current educational setting because students are arranged by age, not developmental level. And books on brain-based learning contain ideas without studies or facts to support the learning theory. What does it look like? It involves a variety of assessment types, not just testing. Okay. It's better, and the brain works best when being assessed in a low-risk environment. Brains work best in colorful classroom, which also incorporates music, movement, and novelty of tasks. And it works best when the students are working collaboratively. What can you do for your students in a brain-based learning classroom? It works best when you offer pre-exposure to the content. Giving students a week of pre-exposure for new material. Also giving enough time for learning. The urge to cover more and more content often results in incomplete learning, which isn't successful for students. Also offering low and no threat feedback, making your learners feel comfortable, interacting with them daily. Giving your student choices within their learning, giving them options where the same result is going to come from different type of activities, and also celebrate their learning. Dr. Jensen says to involve and don't tell. Involve them in their learning and celebrate it with them. Hopefully, this gave you an adequate look at what brain-based learning is, what it looks like in the classroom, some advantages and disadvantages, and pros and cons. Thank you for working with me today.